Hi, everybody. It's your writing mentor, Meggie Tran, and today I wanted to share some key takeaways about interviewing subjects and simply reaching out to them. I asked my friend Erielle Sudario, a journalist based out of Sydney, Australia, for her tips and advice based on her extensive experience. So let's get started. So Erielle Sudario is a Filipino-Australian multimedia journalist. She's worked with radio stations over there like 2SIR and SBS Australia. I first met her in the Club Penguin Twitter community. So Club Penguin was an old online game and some players were on Twitter. So I first met her through there and we played some video games together. She also reached out to me twice for two of her podcasts for Never Have I Ever. So I myself have been a subject to. And I wanted to ask my friend for tips and key takeaways on interviewing. I was impressed while she interviewed me. She was professional, calm, and friendly. And even though I was being put in the spotlight for two of her episodes, I felt very comfortable and relaxed when she asked me questions. She has some great topics and great subjects that she talks about with her Never Have I Ever podcast. And at least one of her episodes was such a huge success. Never Have I Ever season 1, episode 3. It's called Made a Gaming Blog. And she found out on her statistics that all the listeners listened through the entire episode, which is an amazing statistic for podcasts. And so after you review these key takeaways with me and Erielle, you can listen to her interviews with me as examples. I'm known as Meggie Tran, that's my real name, and I'm also known as Tech70 from the Club Penguin Twitter community. And she refers to both the real life me and the online gamer me in these two episodes, made a gaming blog, and was judged by my gender. So it's important to consider how one interview might lead to another. You will have to reach out to your subject again later on, and notice how a topic that was raised in episode 3 inspired her to reach out to me again. Hey, Meggie, hey, Tech, could I also ask you about these things? And that's why there's an episode 10 based on something we raised in episode 3. All right, so let's start with the first category. This is before you interview your subject. The first takeaway is to write the questions first before you seek out the talent. So as you're writing the questions, pretending that you'd ask these questions to some subjects that you have in mind, as you're crafting them, you might have a better idea of who you want to reach out to. The key takeaway number 2 is to schedule your interview immediately. Like she put that in caps and bold. So it's so important for you to reach out as soon as you have an idea about how you want to interview this person. You might also want to try to reach out to other figures in case the first person that you wanted to interview couldn't do it for you. The third takeaway is to tell them what you need them for and why they're good talent. Make a good impression. You want to introduce yourself and what you're going to do with them, and also give them an idea of where your interview will be. Like, will you write it for a school project? Will it be aired in a podcast episode? They would like to know where that would go. The fourth takeaway is if they ask for questions before the interview, just try not to give them questions. You might tell them a general idea of what to expect, and let's just leave it at that. And if they do ask for questions up front, you can give them a few general questions, but keep, as she says, the hard-hitting ones a secret, but just let them know that there will be follow-up questions. All right, and now let's get into the category of creating your questions. The first takeaway is to start with general questions first. And the way you're going to organize it are questions such as, can you tell me more about X topic? Those general questions that you plan to ask at the beginning might also build up to other hard-hitting questions that you might ask them later. And her second takeaway is to make them comfortable to answer those big questions later on. Again, you want to begin with those general, easy questions. And then once you gain trust with that person, you can work your way up to those harder questions. And the third takeaway from Erielle is to not make your questions sound like you don't know them or their work. You want to get more answers from them. You already have a good idea of this person and what they do, but you just want to ask them more questions and develop your knowledge around this person's experience and expertise. Okay, and your fourth takeaway is, I'll just say it, I'll let you interpret it, but this is coming straight from Erielle. You are there to find more answers to this one question you're asking. All right, and now here's a category on being cordial. Okay, so your first takeaway is to be friendly and to be genuine about it. People always want to get to know people who are friendly. And your second takeaway is to be in good relations with your contacts, treat them with kindness and respect, because after all, we want to be treated that way too. You want to do that before, during, and after the interview. And to make sure that you save their contact information, like their phone number or email, in case you're going to interview them later, which is something you're going to have to do. And to always be on good terms with that person. They are taking time out of their busy schedule to do this interview with you. So being friendly is the least we can do. All right, and now let's get to the takeaways during the interview. Your first takeaway is to make that person the star of the show. Try not to talk over them. Don't share too much of what you know or what your research is. You want to give them an opportunity and time to talk and share whatever they'd like to share with you. The second takeaway is about asking impromptu questions. Erielle says you need to listen for something interesting in the responses. You might have a notebook. You could write potential questions as you're listening to their responses. And then whenever you feel the opportunity, it's just an instinct, you just jump in with those impromptu questions, as long as it's related to the topic and you're not interrupting them. And okay, about easing your nervousness while interviewing the subject, Erielle treats it just like a fun chat, no matter who it is. Like, we're all humans and we're just talking to our fellow humans. So just treat it like a talk with your friends. And also be sure to thank them for joining even before the interview, before you ask questions. You really want to let the person know that you appreciate their time and willingness to share their experiences and expertise. If you'd like to have the full interview, I'll give you the PowerPoint file for this. Actually, it's a PDF version of this PowerPoint, and you can open to this slide and click the link, which will be sent to a Dropbox copy of our full interview. Be sure to check it out if you want to know more behind the scenes experiences that Erielle's been throughout her career. All right, now where can you find Erielle's work? She's at qdjaya.com. That's where her whole portfolio is. She's also on Instagram and Twitter at Erielle Sudario. Her personal podcast, Never Have I Ever, can be found on all the podcasting platforms, including Apple, Google, and Spotify. And as a gentle reminder, you can listen to the episodes that I was featured in. Now that you know the key takeaways, you can see how Erielle might have, for example, built up her questions or expressed her appreciation towards me for being the subject. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned a lot about reaching out to people and interviewing them. Good luck with all of that, and have a good day.